I lifted my coffee up to my face, letting the steam seep into my pores. It was only the little pleasures that mattered anymore. My eyes fluttered closed as I relished the sensation, imagining my pores clearing up and a healthy glow spreading through my cheeks. It wasn't actually happening, but it was better than the reality that awaited me outside. I took a deep breath and opened my eyes. Instead of the desert scene I expected, there was an inky blackness. Oh, crap. The hollow matrix is on the fritz again. This is the third day in a row. I guess the lack of maintenance around here was starting to hit a critical point. Coffee sloshed out of the mug when I slammed it down on the counter, but who cared? The hatch to the main facility swung open on squealing hinges, and a loud mechanical switching echoed down the corridor as ancient industrial lights clicked on. A wall of cold air crept into the living area, clouding up my breath into white puffs. The environmental controls turned on with the lights, but it would take a few minutes to warm up. Cold grates dug into my bare feet as I plodded down the corridor to engineering. This is a familiar path now. How many times had this scene played out? Broken hollow matrix, broken water heater, broken purifier, over and over. 12 doors to the junction, left turn, follow to the end, climb down the ladder. A faint odor of rotten flesh hit me as I crouched down to open the ladder hatch. George was getting worse. I hope the smell never reached the living area. Engineering came to life halfway down the ladder, greeting me with my name and designation, but then it fell silent. The chief engineer holed up in this room during his last days, and he dismantled almost everything in desperation. When we reassembled what we needed, the AI control center proved too difficult for the rest of us to fix. As always, my feet slowed as I passed the little red button surrounded by a yellow and black striped square. Not today. I forced my feet onwards to a panel in the back corner and crouched down next to it. "All right, what's wrong with you this time?" I asked, knowing full well it was the same problem as always. I flipped open the hollow matrix panel and pried the fried fuse out of place. It was a little melted and it wouldn't come out until I chiseled it out with a flathead. How many fuses were even left? I suppose I could always steal one from the purifier. This would all end before I ran out of water anyway. I reached over to the nearby stool where I left the box of fuses last week. The metal lid opened with a squeak and I did a quick count. If this thing kept breaking every day, I'd have a week left. That was more than enough. I wouldn't have to steal any parts after all. Once the fuse was replaced, a web of lights ran through the circuitry as it went through its rebooting process. Time to go check the display. At least the walk back wouldn't be freezing cold. Now that the hollow matrix was back up, the living area had a slight yellow cast from the window displays. I locked the hatch behind me and stepped up to the kitchen's display. He stared back. "How you doing today?" I asked, lifting my coffee in salute. He didn't even blink. The man in the desert was a few steps closer than yesterday. Dark orange sand swirled around his black boots and clothes as the fake wind snaked around his body. He never moved while you watched him, but tomorrow morning he'd be a little closer until eventually he got inside. Up until now, he would then reappear back out on the horizon to torment his next victim, creeping closer until the end. I wondered if he would move to a holo display up on the surface after I was gone. I prayed whoever was first had friends who believed them. We didn't believe Nancy even after we found her mangled body. We held an investigation and everything, fancying ourselves detectives as we cycled through security footage and confirmed schedules. We were pretty confident we found a likely suspect, until Seb saw the man back out on the horizon. My mind wandered to the little red button in engineering. I always wondered why it was so easily accessible, but now It was the only thread of hope I had left. It would end everything in 5 minutes, leaving no trace of any of us abandoned down here. My fingers traced the long gashes on the display panel. That was where he'd come inside. I knew because that was where Heather tried to stab him. She was never going to break through the glass. But there was only open ocean on the other side anyway. If she succeeded, the living area would have depressurized and squashed us all like bugs. I wasn't going to die like the others. Like George barricaded in a closet, or Jacob slipping off into a haze of our last painkillers. My death was going to be instant. That was the good thing about being last. There was no one to deprive of time when I took the facility with me. "You know what we should do?" I asked the man. No reaction. "We should watch Doctor Who. Have you ever seen it?" I took a sip of my coffee. The man still had a few yards until he made it to the window. We could easily make it to Tenet before the end. With a sense of excitement, I booted up the display on the opposite wall and started searching through the media library. It was only the little pleasures that mattered anymore.